We live in an age where information is never lacking. Everything is just a click away. Advice, tutorials, theories, step-by-step guides to success. We were taught to look outside ourselves for all the answers, in logic, in data, in other people's opinions. And yet, the more voices we listen to, the more noise we feel inside. We find it hard to decide. We freeze between options. We fill ourselves with doubts and questions that seem endless. This is where Deepak Chopra's teaching appears. The wisest voice you can listen to is not outside, it is inside. It is your intuition. That subtle, almost silent feeling that you often dismiss because it does not seem rational, but which later proves to be the most accurate guide. Intuition is not a logical thought or step-by-step reasoning. It is like a gentle current that arises in the form of a hunch, a sudden certainty, a bodily sensation. It is the wisdom of the soul speaking through the body and emotion. Chopra describes it as the inner compass that is always switched on, even though we often do not listen to it, because the noise of the rational mind in the outside world is usually louder. But that compass never stops pointing north. The question is, do you trust it or do you ignore it? As children, we all have a natural connection with intuition. We know when someone inspires trust and when they do not. We sense when something does us good and when it does not. But as we grow, education, society, and culture teach us to prioritize logic and to distrust what we feel. We hear phrases such as, "Be rational," "Think carefully before deciding." That's just your imagination. And so we silence that inner voice that whispers what is authentic for us. And we end up believing that important decisions must be based only on the logical mind. The problem is that logic sees the obvious, but not always the essential. Intuition, on the other hand, perceives the invisible. One of the great challenges is learning to distinguish intuition from fear, because fear also speaks loudly. Fear says, "Don't try, you'll get it wrong, you'll lose." Intuition, on the other hand, never paralyzes or punishes. It is a calm, clear voice that invites you to move forward with confidence, even if you do not always have concrete proof. A way to tell the difference. Fear generates tension, anxiety, urgency. Intuition generates calm, clarity, expansion. When the decision you imagine leaves your body tight, it is usually fear. When, despite the challenge, you feel relief and openness, it is usually intuition. Chopra teaches that the body is the antenna of intuition. Every physical sensation is a message. If, when thinking of an option, you feel a knot in your stomach, your body is warning you. If, when imagining another path, you feel lightness, that may be your direction. Intuition does not speak in words, it speaks in sensations, it speaks in energy. That is why paying attention to the body is essential to connect with this guidance. When you listen to your intuition, it does not mean that life becomes perfect, but it does begin to align. Suddenly, key people appear at the right moment. Opportunities arrive in unexpected ways. Situations that once seemed chaotic reveal a deeper meaning. This is not magic. It is vibration. When you act from intuition, you vibrate in coherence with who you truly are. And the universe responds to that coherence. We all have examples of moments when intuition spoke strongly. Perhaps you decided not to enter a place and later found out something bad had happened there. Perhaps you trusted someone no one else understood, and that person became essential in your life. Perhaps you changed course at the last moment without logical explanation and discovered that this change was the best you could have made. In those cases, it was not the rational mind that guided you. It was your intuition. And thanks to it, life fell into place in a way you could never have planned. Chopra suggests that intuition strengthens like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the clearer it becomes. Some practices. 1. daily silence. Dedicate even 5 minutes to turning off the noise and staying in stillness. Second, meditation. Not as a complicated technique, but as a space for inner listening. Third, intuitive journaling. Write down what you feel before making decisions, without judgment. 4. Body awareness. Ask yourself, how does my body feel with this option? Does it open or does it contract? 5th, progressive trust. Start by making small decisions based on intuition and observe the results. Often we do not follow intuition because we fear the judgment of others. We worry they will say, "You're mad. It doesn't make sense. It isn't rational." But intuition does not need to be understood by others. It only needs to be honored by you. Another obstacle is impatience. We want intuition to shout, when in reality it whispers. That is why the key is to create silence in order to hear it. Chopra speaks of synchronicity, those moments when everything seems to connect magically. Intuition is the key that opens the door to those synchronicities. When you follow it, you enter a flow where coincidences stop being accidents and become signs. Intuition also shows up with people. Have you ever felt that someone's energy gave you immediate trust? Or on the contrary, that someone smiled but something inside you knew it was not genuine? That is intuition guiding you. When you listen to it, you avoid relationships that drain you and open the door to more authentic connections. For Chopra, intuition is not just a psychological resource. It is a spiritual bridge. It is the way your soul speaks to you. When you listen to it, you not only bring order to your outer life, you also begin to remember who you truly are and what you came here to do. Life is full of decisions, some small, others marking a before and after. You can always decide from logic, but you know that does not always guarantee peace. In contrast, when you listen to your intuition, everything begins to fall into place. Not because problems disappear, but because you find the path that most resonates with you. Your intuition is that soft, clear, and profound voice that has always been there. It does not demand shouting, only listening. It does not give you a complete map, but it shows you the next step. Next time you hesitate, instead of asking outside, try looking within. Breathe. Listen. Trust. Because, as Chopra teaches, when you listen to your intuition, life falls into place.